everyone has a story to share. Your story also is important, but today we are talking to another person whose story is equally important. He's he's an American from Texas, and he's here with me to reflect on his journey as a traveler and his gathering experience. So we want to tap into that experience that you are gathering.
Hello and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi A14, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started into this episode.
So right now, I'm a little bit lost here in Europe. You know, that's where I'm kind of identifying with right now. I can't really find myself. I came to Europe I'm supposed to be hanging out with two of my friends, but they got COVID on the way as I was on the plane ride over here, right? So that obviously flipped my whole trip upside down. Now I don't really know what to do. They were supposed to kind of walk me, hold my hand around. So right now I'm kind of just lost, walking around, not really knowing what to do, hoping somebody like adopts me, you know what I mean, walks me around, kind of like my friend here. And it seems to be going okay. I haven't felt too sad because I'm too busy going through the trains, going through buses, getting lost. That's kind of fun on its own, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of my deal right now.
All right. Okay, for some of you who might not know, we recently started a blog about travel, where we basically give recommendation for most of you who want to travel to some places, to top historic places and things like that. Maybe you don't know what to do. A good example of what Scott is sharing with us today. But if you don't know where you are going, you don't have information of where to book a hotel, maybe where to eat, or maybe a place to visit for sightseeing, it might become difficult for you. So this is why we started this blog, where we share with people where to visit in Italy, where to rent a hotel, where to eat best Italian food. So you can check it out. It's called Top Visit 24. All right, now, Scott, let me come back to you again. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your background growing up. That is very important for us because we care about your story.
Yeah, I grew up in Texas in a very small town called La Feria, and we didn't grow up with a lot of money. I mean, we couldn't really afford much, so traveling was way out of the picture. They didn't teach me about traveling, even within Texas. Texas is a big state, so we still didn't even travel around there because we didn't even have money to like travel in a car around there. You know what I mean? So this is very new to me, but growing up, let me think. I grew up in a musician family, so we're all musicians. It's all in the blood. So I grew up singing. That's kind of how I paid for my trip here, singing with a little ukulele. I would put a bucket and just sing in front of a store. They put money in. I was able to very slowly get enough money to come over here, but I can only really afford like the hostels right now. I was supposed to be with my friends, but you know. That's basically my story growing up.
All right. Now, let's look at somebody that is preparing for a trip, say an America, for example, who is maybe in New York or in Washington area or California, and they want to travel to some place in Italy because we're in Italy. How do you usually get information to know where you're supposed to go? Because now you are in Verona, which is in the north of Italy. Say maybe this is where you want to come. What kind of information would you like to find?
Well, first of all, I use my phone for everything. I'm just Googling. That's my navigation for everything. Without my phone, I'd be completely lost. You know what I mean? So I'm just Googling, like, okay, what's the best place to stay? What's the best thing to do? Right now, I spend so much time just getting to the place. I don't actually have time to, like, enjoy any of it. You know what I mean? So right now, I'm trying to make sure I make time. You know what I mean? So because I'm using so much time just to get to a place that, you know what I mean? Like, you're just getting lost the whole time.
Say, maybe, for example, you planned that you were coming to visit the city of Verona, which is actually one of the most interesting places to visit in the whole of Italy. Mm-hmm. What would you like to see in Verona?
See, I didn't even know that. I didn't know how much of a tourist attraction it was. It's just the place I landed at because I just saying, like, I just Googled it and they said, okay, just stay at this hostel here in Verona. I didn't know that it was the Romeo and Juliet place. I didn't know that was a thing. And until people started letting me know about that. So I do want to check that out. But that's basically how I'm finding everything. Right now, I'm not really sure where to go next. I guess I'll just be Googling it, where to go after right now.
Anyway, since we are here in Verona, this is my city. I'll be here for a very long time. I'm going to take Scott around. We're going to visit the place of Romeo and Juliet, the Juliet house. We're going to visit Arena de Verona, which is actually been here for very many years. A lot of people visit here from different parts of the world. So, of course, he's going to have a fee. We're also going to visit Castelvecchio, a very important tourist places in Verona. Of course, he didn't know all this one, but he's going to see this place today. Now, tell me about your music thing. How do you go about it? I'm sort of curious about that. Say maybe somebody want to get a feel of what you do.
Yeah. So when I'm making my money, I'm doing cover songs, right? I'm doing songs for other people, from other people, because that's what people connect with. They know the song, so that gives them more incentive to put money in. Because if I'm singing my own music, they're not going to recognize the song, so they're not going to really put money in there. But I actually hate doing covers because the passion is in writing music. You know what I mean? My whole family, we love writing and making our own music. So that's where I feel my passion comes from, just writing. Now the thing is, I can't afford to finish music. You know what I mean? Like finish a whole song. You need kind of like a studio, you need a mic, you need all this kind of equipment to do it. I mean, you can do it in a cheap way, you know what I mean? And hopefully someone picks you up and starts producing you, all that kind of thing. But right now, yeah, I'm just kind of making sure I'm keeping my whistle like wet and just making sure I'm still good at it, writing music every day. And maybe one day I'll be able to afford to get the equipment and start making my music and finishing it, making an album, all that kind of stuff,
All right, now let's try to understand it like this. Which part of the music setup do you like? Do you like more? Is it in the writing of the music, in the singing, in the instrument, in the composing? Where would you like to be known more in music?
In music, for me, I think the most important part is the melody. But I feel like the melody is what people connect to the most. I mean, some people do just only hear lyrics. I think there's two different types of people. They connect to the lyrics more than anything. They hear the story of the lyrics and they just like, okay, that's my song. For me, I just want something catchy. So for me, what I tend to think I'm good at is the melody. And I'm kind of bad at lyrics. My lyrics will kind of be like corny in a way, you know what I mean? Like a love song, it's kind of corny. So I do have some people helping me with the lyrics, just the people that are more poetic. So I also play piano and ukulele, right? The piano is so fun to play. You can do so much with it. And the singing part, it's kind of frustrating because I'm a perfectionist, right? So you do something one way and you're like, oh, I could have done it better another time. So you look at all your mistakes. So the problem with that, if you're a perfectionist, you never finish. You know what I mean? How are you going to finish if nothing's ever perfect? So I'm sure you know the thing, like if you make a funny face while you're recording, you're like, I don't know, I want to redo it. I made a funny face or something. That's the way I am. I'm like too much of a perfectionist where I'll just never finish. That's another thing I need to like work on. You know what I mean?
All right. Do you have maybe a band, a group that you sing with, or do you do your music alone?
I grew up like with a band. We would do like play at bars and clubs and stuff like that, but nothing really happens from that. I mean, you're playing covers, you get money, but you don't grow a career as like your own music unless you're putting out albums and you're spending the money to finish your music and I don't know, like maybe like make music videos, stuff like that. So I quit that, try to do something myself, you know what I mean? Try to figure out how I can, because I learned how to work a camera too, so I can finally maybe try to make a music video on my own. I have to learn how to edit and all that. So I'm slowly learning all these skills to do everything myself, which is a lot, but I think it's possible. I can see the road to it because I've learned so much. Because YouTube teaches you everything. It teaches you about cameras. It teaches you about how to edit videos and everything. I think I can probably do it myself. Probably kill myself doing it, working hard, but I'm willing to work that hard to do it. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. It is said that all the information that we are looking for are online. That is nothing new. All the information that you need, like you correctly said, they are out there. You go to YouTube, there is nothing you cannot find. It's only a question of packaging. How do you package it? You see?
Package.
So, no, anyway, I'm not really putting that question to you. I'm just like reaffirming that it is true that all the information are there. But now the question really I have for you is, when you get those information, how do you experiment to be sure that it actually is giving you what you want?
Well, Instagram's amazing because you could do photos, you could do videos, you can do little tests to see what people react to. See, okay, so when I do this, people are reacting to this more. Like if there's more colors in the video, if it's more monotone, if like what vibe are you working with better? You know what I mean? So Instagram is an amazing way. TikTok is a big thing that's going on. You could do little. You don't have to commit to a whole video. You're just doing 30 seconds of something, and you're checking what's working, what can go viral. So my editing's, you can just test everything. You can just test it, just put it real quick. But eventually, I want to do the big music video. You know what I mean? And the road to that, it's going to be a little bit longer.
All right, if you hear a little bit of noise here, we're in the area of the University of Verona, so there are some students around, so of course we cannot tell people to keep quiet. So if you hear that, just bear with us. We are in public space. Everybody have a call right here. All right, now, what do you use to make this music? Like maybe I don't know, a program like Audacity, this one actually is free now. You can actually download it and begin to record if you want to. Can you tell me some of the tools that you use?
Yeah, I use a tool called Cubase. Have you heard of Cubase? It's a music editing tool. It has everything you need. It's basically what the professionals are using. It's really the VSTs that you use. That's where the money is like coming from. I mean, you're spending $500 on a program here, another VST. So Cubase it's pretty good for that. The problem is there's so many different professions within the mastering, within just there's so many little areas where you can have like a blind spot, right? So let's say I'm good at mastering or something. If you mess up I'm good at mixing, right? So I'll put all the levels right. If the mastering is completely off, then it'll never sound professional. So you can also send that to a professional or something, or learn it yourself, which is another thing. And that could take years of videos of watching. And I mean, you could learn it on your own. You could. But yeah, Cubase is what I use to manipulate the sounds and finish.
All right, now take us to Texas. Tell us about the music, the typical music that you play in Texas. If you ask me the kind of music they play in Verona, I will tell you because I live here.
Yeah.
But talking of Texas, tell me a little bit about what kind of music do you...
Texas, especially Austin, is a lot of country. It's a lot of singing about horses and drinking and guns too, you know? It's the typical, it's guns and horses in Texas. You know what I mean? Everyone's holding a gun. Everyone's got a gun on their waist.
You shoot people on the streets?
They say it's protection, but it's just, everyone's going crazy over there. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's more country. I mean, of course you got the mix of everything. You have, everywhere it's basically mixed, but you do get more country. In Austin, it's a huge music city. It's one of the biggest, I think.
In U.S.
Yeah.
Is it a kind of a metropolitan area where you have maybe different people come, a kind of a mixture of culture that maybe you can see some European city. Of course, I know American is also very famous for it. If you go to New York or Washington area, or you see people coming from different cultures. It's a kind of a mix-up, no? Is it like that, or can you help me with that?
I don't hear, the most I hear is Latino music because we're so close to the border on Mexico. So you hear a lot of Latino and then country music. I don't really hear a lot of pop music, like the biggest songs, like the number one songs. They're mostly fun pop songs. People in Texas don't really do that. I guess it's more safe to go with what everyone likes. Everyone's more comfortable with the country because everyone's doing like square dances and all that. Like the clubs are built around that type of music. So in California, that's where you get more pop, where you get more, that's where there's more mixture of music. So yeah, Texas is a little bit more closed off in that way.
So when you were growing up, what kind of music was inspiring you? Because you said before that your family is a family where music is very alive, no? So what kind of music were inspiring to you?
Well, it's the type of music I had to play because I was forced to play it. It was Tejano music. It's like this, I don't understand Spanish that very well, but we had to be singing Spanish, background singing and all that. That's where I learned how to sing. And yeah, it's Tejanos. It's like these, everyone's wearing these cowboy boots, with square dancing. That's what I grew up playing. So it's like a Mexican kind of mariachi, all that with trumpets and all that.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And that's
okay. Now, we'll come back to the travel just now. Now, tell me, say somebody wants to come to Texas, where would you recommend the person to say, I want to come to Texas, I want to know this city, I want to know this state. What would you recommend for me?
South Padre Island. Have you been there? No. South Padre Island is like a party town. It's just this little island on the way south of Texas. It's basically on spring break. It's crazy. Everyone's going nuts. You don't have to make any plans. Just stand on the sidewalk. You'll see people acting crazy everywhere. It's a show. People are going crazy. Girls are getting naked for no reason. I don't know why. And you see people fighting too. You just got to make sure you keep a safe distance because it can get dangerous. But the cops don't care what's going on. They're kind of partying with the people. You know what I mean? So it's actually so crazy. I would recommend that. But if you want something more mellow, in Texas specifically, I would be more towards San Antonio, right? Where you can do trails, you can do hiking, that kind of stuff. If you're more into that, because I kind of like both, so I can understand if you don't want to do parties. Yeah, you can go more towards San Antonio. That's where you'll do more hikes, more Rocky Mountains, like stuff like that. Yeah.
All right, interesting. All right, now coming back to Verona, where we are today in northern part of Italy, what has been your experience? Say maybe, for example, in hostel, because now you live in hostel, that is where you met your friend. In fact, in one of my recommendations in the post, in one of our blog posts, I was suggesting that sometimes stay in hostels where you can, because there you meet a lot of people. You can share. Imagine, for example, that I'm talking to this guy because he has been in hostel where he met a friend of mine. Through a friend of mine, I'm talking to him because they have become friends by staying in the same place, no? Because in this life, we're not supposed to live it alone. We need to share. It's also one of the reasons why we travel, so that we can meet more people. Otherwise, you just stay in your little place where you are, no? But you want to see the vastness of this world, other culture, other languages, no? So, tell me about your experience in this your trip, and particularly in this hostel, for example, that you're staying.
My trip, I was hoping for this to happen, to get adopted, people just to take me in and just walk me around. That's what I was hoping, because that's what happened last time with my friends. You know what I mean? They just kind of saw me lost walking around. They were like, "Hey, you look like you need help." So that's what they did. They adopted me, basically, held my hand, walked me through everywhere. And I'm glad it's happening again right now, because I was scared. I was like, I'm by myself. I'm too shy to talk to people. You know what I mean? Because there's all these people I'm interested in talking to, but it's so hard for that first initial talking. I don't know what to say. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Scotty." That's so hard when it's so simple, but it's so hard to do. I don't know if you find it hard to do something like that, but
anyway,
for me, it's so hard.
It is really interesting. In fact, yesterday, I was sharing a story, very important story. Let me share with you, in that I was walking to the house. Then I met my neighbor, and he was trying to take something into his own car. But the thing were like a kind of fishy tools. So I didn't see any fish there, but I asked him, "Hey, did you get a good catch today? I mean, did you get any good catch? Did you get fish?" I just greeted him. I said, "Wow, come here." Then he brought out a very big fish.
Yeah.
He said, "Take." I said, "No, I was just joking." He said, "Take, you must take."
He wants you to take it.
So I took it. I went into the house. Then I told my wife, "Hey, honey, come here. Make me pepper soup." You don't know what is pepper soup? Anyway, don't worry. So my wife made me a nice pepper soup. In fact, I've eaten it twice now. A portion is still remaining in the fridge. So what I'm saying here is that really it is good if you can sort of meet people, talk to people, because you never know what you might learn. You never know who might be helping you or who you might be helping, you know? Because at the end of the day, it's about experience. We need to share. Life is for sharing, you know? So, yeah. Living or traveling or meeting new people is a lot of good thing about it. I believe that a lot of good thing about it.
Yeah.
Now, if I may ask you, what would you say was your main reason for traveling to Italy?
I would love to say it's to actually see Italy and everything, but it was actually the people that I wanted to see again. You know what I mean? I really wanted to see them again. I mean, it's nice to see a very beautiful place, but if I don't have anyone to see it with, to share it with, point at it, look at that, that's kind of cool, right? I need that kind of interaction to enjoy it. I'm struggling with learning how to, I'm not sure if you're supposed to, but being by yourself and appreciating something yourself. You know what I mean? And not just be completely bored, because that's what I'm struggling with right now. Is just being on that nice bridge over there. I don't know what it's called. It's very nice, but I just want someone to experience it with. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's something we should be learning, to be alone, or if I should learn how to meet new people so I don't have to be alone and learn that lesson. You know what I mean? So I guess I'll learn eventually. Right now, I'm just happy I got adopted right now.
All right, tell me, what do you say about the Verona people? I mean, the place that you are now, because we are sort of curious about it, because we are writing this blog also for this reason. We want to share with people that this city is a beautiful place to visit, but we don't want to read it only from our own point of view. We also want to read it from the point of view of foreigner people who are visiting this city. That is why I find your experience very interesting. So share with me, what do you see around the people, the place? Anything that you want to share with me?
I've noticed there's a lot of good-looking people over here. I don't know why, but it seems like everyone's a model over here. I don't know what it is. Actually, over there in Texas, in my city, it's the biggest. How do I explain this? The town in Corpus Christi has the most people in the whole entire world for overweight people. It has the most overweight people. So that's what I'm normally seeing that all the time. People aren't walking around. Like, people are basically, like in Walmart, they're using like carts to walk around because they're so overweight. They're not just overweight, they're obese where they can't even walk. That's the capital of Corpus Christi. It's the most obese people in the world, which is it's not a good thing to be proud about, you know what I mean? But that's what I'm used to seeing. So over here, I'm like, man, a lot of people are skinny over here, which is so different. I mean, it's not like, I'm not judging anybody, you know what I mean? But it's just a completely different, it just looks different to me, you know what I mean? And the people, they're speaking so many different languages over here. It's kind of confusing.
How did you manage to understand people? I mean, do you understand what they are saying?
Italian is kind of close to Spanish, so I can kind of understand what they're saying, but I'm still confused when they're talking to me. I'm like, okay, he said dog right there, but I don't know what he's actually saying. But yeah, just like I said, at the grocery store, someone was screaming at me because I didn't know what I was doing. So I just gave him my card instead because I don't know what.
What would you like to see? Because just, of course, we are closing now. What would you like to see in Verona, in the city? Because now we have been doing that.
First of all, I would like to see something that's good for pictures. Because my mom wants good pictures. You know what I mean? She wants me to be taking selfies like with some kind of beautiful background. And the Romeo and Juliet thing, that's something cool that I want to check out too. I didn't know about it until I was at the hostel. And they said, this is the Romeo and Juliet kind of. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'll go check that out. I got to figure something out now that I'm here. So yeah, I want something very photo-esque where I could just take nice photos, go home with something nice to show my mom. Yeah, something like that.
All right, that's very interesting. Okay, now this is the last. This is not a question. It's a kind of a concluding part of it. What would you like to say as a kind of a message to conclude the conversation? I don't know. It can be a greeting to somebody or conclude it in your own way.
I'll just give a little bit of advice. I've only learned a little bit of advice. I think I've learned to not play it safe, take a risk on life, because even if you play safe, you can still fail at the safe thing. So might as well do what you love and follow your heart, because at least if you fail, you'll fail doing something you love. So that's what I would say.
All right. Thank you so much for that.
If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Blog. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you in the next episode.